Acting show.
We always
Every day we
improving.
got something different going on.
By the way, we're streaming.
Every show is different technology.
We're streaming, by the way.
MSNBC live, bro.
Just to let everybody
We're
know.
live.
We're live?
Don't worry,
No,
people's not on, so we don't have to worry about cursing.
No, we're live. Just to let you know. So no cursing. We don't curse on the show, Juan. Even though I'm sure you wouldn't curse.
Why are you stealing me out, bro?
I know, right? Nah, well, you running for Congress. I don't know many people running for Congress. Actually, Imani, would you be cursing like on the show or any shows? I don't know. Because you're running for
Jersey, maybe.
Maybe.
Jersey, that's like a thing. It's just a part of our regular speech, so I don't know.
Nah, I hear you. But yo, everybody, we are live. Holly Horn, welcome. We are in the pre-show. So at 8 o'clock sharp, we're going to start the show because we're going to spend the first 10 minutes talking to our PJ, our fellow political junkie, Imani Oakley, who's running in New Jersey, District number 10. And she is hot on the campaign. She's hot off the campaign right now. She's spending us a little bit of time to give us an update on what's going on. So I'm so excited to hear about her progress and to hear about what's going on. And also we have our new friend to the show, Juan Paredes, and hopefully we'll be able to call him political junkie soon, a PJ, a fellow PJ. I know Imani's been on the show at least 5 times, so at this point she's family. That's why I want. So hopefully at some point in the future you'll get that title as well. I'm looking forward to that. Definitely. So we got our man Gabe is back, baby. Gabe, after like 4 or 5 shows, he's been missing, but I miss my man. Give us a little update, baby.
Back. It's been crazy. I got a new gig and they've been definitely getting their money's worth out of me. So it's been crazy the last I think like couple months but now I should be back at least for now going forward. So you'll see me multitasking for the next 10 minutes until we start. Okay. Gonna be eating in the background, but we are good. We are live and ready to be from the toxic crazy left. So I'm back. From the back, everybody. Let's keep it toxic.
All right. He's giving me the thumbs down already. Yeah, much love. Carlito, what's up with you, my man?
Yo, man, over here sweating like, I would say like a pig, but pigs don't have the glands I've heard. You know what I'm saying? I did want to talk about a little something real quick. It's like I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about this woman, but she got to be like the greatest white woman in the world right now to me. Okay. And that's Dolly Parton.
Okay.
Because we know before she had donated a bunch of money that ended up going into the Moderna vaccine. Yeah. And today I found out that she is the original writer of the song "I Will Always Love You" by Whitney Houston, the best singer ever.
Oh, wow.
And she made a bunch of money from it. And what she did with a portion of that money was invest in minority areas and Black communities and build over there. So this woman is always doing the right thing, it seems, man.
That's awesome. That is awesome. All right.
I don't hear many country singers who are, I don't know if she's technically country, but that's typically not the type of story you hear from a country singer.
Yeah, she's like the most beloved country singer I ever heard of, man. And I could see why, man. She'd be writing like handwritten thank you letters to like DMV workers.
Oh my God.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm gonna
I've seen hand gestures for DMV workers, but not thank you letters. Hey, did you change your hat from the Yankee hat to that crap?
Yeah, she did. Smart guy.
Yes, I did. So I will be handling the owl story today.
Ooh.
Hold on, I'm waiting for it to okay, now I'm gonna bring it back again.
At the risk of pissing off Gabe, I'm gonna transition to this graphic real quick. Destroy capitalism before it destroys the planet. That's where we're at right now. True. With all the climate change disasters that's going on. You know, I have go ahead.
As the progressive Republican of the group, I think that capitalism is not the problem. The problem is that what we have right now is not capitalism. It is socialism for the rich and socialism for corporations. So what we need is an actual meritocracy where if you are actually, so like I believe in 100% wealth tax because it's a meritocracy. So what we need to do is if you inherit money from your parents, 100% taxed because you have to make it on your own and pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Damn, you
So
serious?
I think we need real capital. That would be capitalism. Real capitalism.
Damn, no calzone discussion. Why you didn't tell me this before? I should have added this to no calzone.
Throwing bombs.
There's no such thing as capitalism.
I saw someone there making faces to your comments, Gabe. I'm not gonna say no name, but
hold on. I want to throw Juan, what you said. And by the way, Juan, the beauty of the Political Junkies show, right? This is your first time, so you're gonna learn the little knickknacks. We all have. I pride in gathering people with different opinions, so that's why I threw that at Gabe. He is a Bernie Sanders progressive. Well, I would say that, right, Gabe? You would have voted for Bernie Sanders, right? Definitely.
I voted for the idea of Bernie Sanders.
He's not a Bernie Sanders. He's a Republican.
Was it you or John who was anti-millionaires tax? I can't remember who it was.
I said no, it was a billionaire. We talked about the billionaire conversation, right? Is that the one?
Yeah.
I just remember thinking like, no, we need to tax millionaires and billionaires. like, and somebody was like, no.
John is the most fiscally conservative of us all. He's like, don't tax my investments.
No. I think you just tax my investment, but don't tax my investment to like a point. Like, I mean, there's got to be everybody that have a fair share. Like, don't tell me like, oh, like tax me 99% after I make X amount of money. Like. You say, you pay 40%, 45%, 50%, whatever it is, then you pay your taxes and you're free to make whatever you want. As long as you pay your employees, you do what you have to do. But you can't say like, oh, okay, well, we don't care. You're going to make $1 billion, $1 million, $10 million. We're just going to tax you 99% because you shouldn't have that money.
Exactly. We shouldn't be subsidizing.
I remember what it was now. I was saying that being a billionaire is automatically unethical because in order 100%. To be a billionaire, you have to cheat and go through loopholes. And you were like, no, man, like you could just be a genius. So,
it was should billionaires exist. It was should billionaires exist.
You said should billionaires exist, and then we said we talked about it, and there was conversation that people were like, well, if you did this, you wouldn't exist, you wouldn't do X, Y, or Z, right? But what I'm saying to you is like sometimes we go to the extreme of saying like, if it's $15 an hour, then we were like, no, we want 30. If it's 30, then we want 50. If I'm saying is, if everybody's all of your employees making living wage, you're covering all their health cares, you're doing stock option for everyone, like not just the top executive. I think Mark Cuban talked about this, like even the janitor is a full-time employee. He makes a living wage, $50,000. He gets $50,000 of stocks. And then I'm a CEO of a company and I make X amount. I pay my 40% for whatever tax it is. Why should I continue to pay 99% when everything that we're asking for is there, right? I'm not saying like you got to close the loophole because there's absolutely the reason why everyone is a billionaire right now.
My bad. Did the music stop?
Told me to shut up.
Yeah, my bad. No. Did the music stop or did it keep going? It's still.
Okay. He just told me to shut up.
Really speech music right there.
He said, "Shut up." Okay, I won't say no more.
The wrap it up box.
I agree with Case. Billionaires shouldn't exist.
Again, but what I'm saying to you guys is,
finish your
point.
We
heard you already.
I want to get Juan in real quick, John. I'm sorry, John. Do you really want to finish your point, John? Do you really?
Good.
Okay. Juan,
I know. Agree with this because Easy always don't agree with anything in the world.
So Juan is here as a guest. Imani's here as a guest. So when they say something, I really want to just default the floor to them because I really want to get their opinion. So Juan, it took a while to get back to you, but I hope you remember what you wanted to say. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, no, there's two things now, honestly. But first of all, when it comes to capitalism doesn't exist. It didn't exist in this country, and it's not going to exist because it's a pure capitalist society is going to eat itself. It's going to destroy itself very, very quickly. The system we have now is privatized corporatism. Like if it was a capitalist society, all those companies that are asking for bailouts during COVID-19 would have gone out of business a long time ago. So there's definitely not a capitalist society. They get massive kickbacks from the government to stay in business. And also, when it comes to billionaires, definitely being a billionaire, it immediately means inherently that you've exploited to get to that point. You can't become a billionaire without exploiting the production of the workers that work under you. Like, it's impossible for you to work hard enough to make 30, 40, 100 times more than the lowest paid employee. Like, you don't work 100 times more than your lowest paid employee. So that means that you are exploiting their production to gain that money for yourself.
So let me ask you this then. So let's say we get rid of everyone right now. We create everything that everybody wants, right? So you're saying that, what my point is, so we get every laws, every loophole closed, everything, get rid of every billionaires now. You're saying that even if with that, there would never exist no billionaire. There's no way that a billionaire could exist because in the end, the point is saying is that when you make that billion, we're saying, oh, we're going to tax you 99% because you shouldn't have made that $1 billion.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, like if you want to have a 99% tax on billionaires, if we get everything we want, that's the only way we're going to get there. Because if we have billionaires, there's no way there's going to be enough money in the economy to provide for all the things you're talking about: living wage, Medicare for all, good public transportation, good infrastructure. There's not going to be enough money in the economy to provide for those policies if billionaires exist, because they're hoarding that money. Like, a billionaire takes that money and it freezes it in assets that aren't liquid, that are frozen and immovable, and then it just takes the money out of the economy. If we get everything we want, it's because billionaires no longer exist.
No, and for the record, go ahead, Imani.
In order to even get to billionaire status, you have to not pay people. You have to not give people health care. And when I say people, I mean your employees, right? You have to also exploit the loopholes, like, to even get there. There's no one who's just gotten to billionaire status, despite all the conservative talking points, despite all the establishment talking points. There is no one who became a billionaire just because they were just like a genius. Like, they cheated at some point in the process, and multiple times over that process, in order to even become a billionaire. So because of that, it's inherently not a good thing to be a billionaire. And you can't be a billionaire unless you have cheated multiple people over large amounts of time out of what they're owed, which is a fair wage. They're owed health benefits. They're owed time off. Like, you cheated people out of all of those things. Cheated people out of, if they got hurt, out of like real compensation. Like, you use your lawyers to make sure that you don't have to compensate them, right? So that's the only way you can even become a billionaire. So it's just unethical. There's no one who's just gotten to that status by being, super intelligent, as they like to say. No, they're people who cheated.
And after they get it, they cheat to keep it. They buy politicians, buy the laws. So
no, I agree. I think I agree with that stuff, but here's what John was saying. I think that in theory, billionaires would be okay if they were able to meet everything. So far, they have proved that they're not able to. But I look at somebody like Dan Price, the CEO of Gravity Payments, and I could see him becoming a billionaire and also making sure his workers are taken care of, that with the $70,000 minimum wage that they have right now. During the pandemic, they all took a pay cut, but then were paid back with interest. I think that in a situation like that, he is a model for what a CEO should be like.
Because if his company go public, because we know, like, if you got on, like, we understand, a lot of the time people try to fool people, say, well, the stock market is the economy, and we know it's not. But if there's a company like that and it goes public, and people like us will go and invest in it, and he has 100,000 shares, he may become a billionaire. So what we're saying is, well, okay, well, you did everything right. Here you go. You still got to give us 99%.
Yeah, well, you already mentioned like another dirty word from me when you talk about the Wall Street already.
But it's not Wall Street, but you got to understand how public company works. That's how public company works. You get your stocks and then you invest on it. It has nothing to do with X, Y, or C. Yes, there's a lot of loopholes. Yes, we're talking about if we close all those and we make it, what we're trying to say here today is that, billionaire will not exist at all. And I don't think that's accurate. I think there will be some, maybe there won't be as much, but there will still be some, because it's just, I don't see how it would just be like none at all.
I say equally divvying up.
So those stocks are still not being delved out in a way that reflects people's labor. I think that's the part that you're missing, right? So even if everyday people are like, this is a great company, and then they bought a bunch of stocks in it, right? If those stocks are not distributed evenly among everybody in the organization, which would be considered like employee ownership, which is considered like the farthest left way you can run a company, is like every employee has an equal stake. Even if unless those shares are distributed evenly among every employee, that's still this whoever the top person is who becomes that billionaire is still cheating, because likely their labor doesn't reflect.
I'm gonna turn around. I'm gonna make not a full U-turn, but I'm gonna turn around on this one.
Got 1 minute left.
I don't think it should be evenly split, because if you were still the one that created the company or the majority investor, whatever, there should be some kind of, like, I believe in co-ops and things like that, but there's no way that, somebody that's, the regular employee should have more stake in how to run a company than the person that started the company.
No, I wouldn't say even. And I don't know, Imani, if you meant like fully distributed evenly among all employees, but based on your level, I mean, it should be at least fair. Like we talked about before, what should the X number of times that the CEO should be making compared to all of their employees, like what should that number be? I've said the number should be like 30, 35 max. So, if you're divvying up stocks in that way, you still can't become a billionaire no matter how much people are investing in your company.
I forgot what I said, but I said like probably like 10 times that. I think I said like 100 or 300.
Yeah. I'm saying it should be based on the labor you do, because that's how people should be getting paid, like based on how much labor. Like there are CEOs who come in there, sure, you probably put in a lot of work creating the company. And then you hire employees and they work sometimes overtime. And you come in for an hour a day, you look around, give some high fives, have a meeting for 20 minutes, then you leave. You're not putting in your labor anymore. Right? So payment needs to be based on the amount of labor that people are doing.
All right, let's start the show. Let's get this party started. You guys ready? Give me some dancing moves, all right? Hey.
You can't make me dance. I'm talking about.
Hey.
That's what I'm doing.
Dance party.
Hey, come on.
You don't want to do a dance party.
Oh, gotta do it.
Lean back. What's going on, everybody? This is CaseStudyQB. We are the political junkies. All right.
So the 8-count stomp.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a question, because on my side, the music was a little staticky. Was it like a little bit?
Terrible.
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so we got to figure that out. I don't know what happened.
But anyway, it started good.
I took my headphones away.
Yeah. We'll work it out. Hey, so what's up, everybody? We got our people. We got a full panel this week. We got Gabe, we got Juan, we got Carlito, John, Izzy, and Imani. So let me go to my guests first. We got Imani Oakley, New Jersey 10. She's campaigning off the trail, so we're gonna spend 10 minutes and then we're gonna let her go, because we know she's got a lot of things to do and she's got to get up early in the morning, so we're gonna just spend 10 minutes of her time. And then I got my man Juan Paredes, who is in Florida District 26, and he's gonna be with us for the whole show, and I'm looking forward to hearing his opinion on things. We had a little pre-show. I hope you was here for that, and he was breaking some knowledge, breaking it down. So we're gonna get into it right now with Imani, since we only got 10 minutes with her. So Imani, what's going on, buddy? PJ.
What's up, everybody? Glad to be back. In the former life, I was here as Imani Oakley, political organizer. Now I'm here as Imani Oakley, candidate running for Congress in New Jersey and congressional district. And it's going well. I guess it's going to be like question and answer format, or how you want to do it?
So So first thing I want to ask. You started campaigning. How long has it been now? 4 weeks, or how many weeks now?
Yeah, like maybe 6 weeks. Maybe like 5 weeks.
Okay,
because we announced July 6th.
So you exactly about a month now. My question: how packed is? I'm putting on my progressive war room. I'm asking like some really detailed questions. So like I want to ask, what's your regular day? What's a normal day for you?
Yeah, so a normal day is I wake up at 7 and then I like stare at the ceiling and I'm like, oh man, we got a lot of work to do. And then I go biking just to because I think it's important. I mean, campaigning is very, very stressful. So I think it's important to have like an exercise routine. So I bike every morning at 7 a.m., come back, shower, eat a little bit of breakfast. then I do like just housekeeping stuff. So like checking emails, and I can get emails from staff that came in the night, or from people who want to endorse, or from people who want to have meetings, et cetera, et cetera. Answer those emails or put it on the radar of one of my staff if it should be more in their wheelhouse than mine. Then I typically try and have, like, if I have a meeting that day, I try to do it in the morning before 12 and talk with folks.
I apologize.
We called it.
I was talking too much that time.
Censorship.
No, I changed it.
Wrap it up.
That's my bad. That's my bad. I'm sorry about that.
Oh my God.
That's good to hear.
Thank you, Imani. That's all the time we have.
Telling you doesn't care about your day.
Yeah, I apologize. Did it stop
It's
yet?
still going.
It just stopped though,
No,
right?
it's all good.
No, you know what happened?
It's only our 49th episode.
No,
It's
no,
okay.
no. I changed it over and it still came on somehow. So it might actually happen
That's what
again.
you say every week.
It might happen again because I don't know why it happened that time. But I'm gonna just keep my hands off the dials. That's what I'm gonna do from now on.
Every time we were saying like, man, the theme music's too short, make it longer. Now look, you make it longer and play it twice as much so far.
He was so excited
so-
that he had music this week.
So Imani was so. Go ahead, Imani. I apologize. Go ahead, buddy.
No, it's all good. So yeah, so I have a meeting, you know, whether that's folks in the district or whatever, or with staff, have those meetings in the morning. And then for the rest of the afternoon, I am fundraising for the most part until the evening or on weekends, where we, you know, go out to events and things like that. So the majority of the day, I want to make this point because I think it's important for where we need to go in this country. The majority of my day is spent fundraising. And that's not different from, you know, any candidate that wants to win who's also running for Congress. And it's absolutely absurd. I mean, like every single day that I do it, and again, it's a necessity, right? You have to raise money in order to run for Congress. Everybody who watched that PAC money pour into Ohio 11 can see that, you know, like it's very, very important to raise the money. But at the same time, right, it's more important that I be talking to voters, right? It's more important that I be doing meaningful things to interact with people who will come June 2022, be my constituents. And so the majority of my day is spent, you know, fundraising, but, you know, there's also meetings and things like that. And that's like a typical day.
Okay. And that's Monday through Friday, or like, are you working 7 days a week?
I work 6 days a week, and then I try to find one day to take off, just because, like, you know, if you just keep going and grinding, like I said, campaigns are stressful and they're a grind and it's a lot of work. So I think it's healthy. You also have to keep yourself healthy and like in a good mental state. So I try to take at least one day of the week off. But last week I actually went down to DC for the eviction moratorium protest. And that week I worked 7 days a week. So it can be 7 days a week. I do try to take one day off just to like keep myself healthy. And, you know, it's like kind of like a weekend.
So I saw
super important question. I'm sorry, Case, real quick.
Go ahead.
Super important question. What kind of bike do you ride?
What kind of bike is it? That's a good question. I don't know. I didn't even look at the type of bike. I just looked at the size. Because like y'all can't really tell. Case met me in real life, but the rest of y'all haven't. I'm 5'2", so it was really more of a thing where it's like, can my legs reach the ground when I sit on this bike?
I thought you were gonna say 6'5".
It's a street bike. It's a street bike. I know that. Like,
okay, cool.
Oh, okay. It's not a Schwinn. It's a puppy.
Just don't fall off like Easy did.
Yeah, don't do that.
Oh no, too soon.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, Imani is all over the place. I saw her with pictures. She was with Cori Bush when she was on the steps of the Capitol. And I also saw that you met Ali Dalsimer, right? She's doing the People's Gauntlet right now. And I talked to her about Imani. And she's like, yeah, I saw Imani, because she saw the People's Gauntlet video, apparently. So we're making connections and building networks already with the People's Gauntlet. It's awesome. And then, yes, I met Imani at the March for Medicare for All in Newark, New Jersey. So that was really cool meeting Imani in person. So Imani, how can we help you, like, as volunteers? What are you looking for as far as money and all that stuff? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, definitely. Again, you know, unfortunately, we have money in politics, and it is very, very critical. We want to get it out, definitely, because we really should have publicly funded campaigns, and getting the money out of politics not only gets kind of like the say of corporations and Wall Street out of what we need as everyday people, but it also makes it easier for everyday people to run and really raise the money that they need in order to like do everything that one has to do on a campaign, because staff has to be paid, they have to be paid a living wage, staff has to have medical care, my staff has medical care, then you have to, you know, pay for ads, and campaigning is very, very expensive. So unfortunately for now, we have money in politics, but in order to overcome the amount of PAC money that's going to pour into my opponent's race, and he's already accepted money from an oil pipeline PAC, as well as ExxonMobil, as well as Merck, which is Big Pharma. So in order to combat that, we need everyday folks like everybody on this call and the people watching this right now to go to oakleyforcongress.com. That's my last name, Oakley, OAKLEY, FOR, Congress.com. There's going to be a donation thing that pops up as soon as you get there. Please, please donate what you can. Every dollar really does help. If you've only got a little bit, I know times are rough. Please, you know, just do what you can. If you got a little bit more to spend, please don't hesitate to spend a little bit more on our race, because again, like the PAC money is going to pour in. My opponent has already started taking money from these types of PACs. And in order for us to keep up so we can campaign to our fullest extent and win in June, we're going to need all of your help when it comes to donations. Or if you like really just don't have the money right now, you can also sign up to volunteer. We're going to be doing phone banking. If you're in New Jersey and in the area, we'll be doing door knocking and events, and we'll need volunteers too. So the top two ways that folks can help is going to the website, oakleyforcongress.com, dropping a couple of dollars to our campaign, and signing up to volunteer. Those two things will go a really, really long way.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Imani. The last question, I'm gonna let you go right after this. Chris in the chat, she said, who are you running against?
Yes. So I'm running against a man named Donald Payne Jr., who actually inherited the seat from his dad, has sat in it for 10 years, and has done virtually nothing for the district. You know, when I'm going around and actually talking to voters, one of the first things they say to me is that, yeah, you know, his dad, like, he really was a great congressman, but, you know, the son just really hasn't kept up that legacy. And so, you know, you can see right there what type of guy this is. It's a guy who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, got a seat because his dad had it, and just has been keeping it warm for 10 years. Wow. 10 years. And we're a district that has a lot of need. We are, as of 2019, number one in the country for foreclosures, mostly affecting older Black and brown homeowners. We have other issues as far with rising rent. We have a severe issue with lead, not only in the water, but also in the paint of old homes and apartment buildings. We have some of the highest rates of childhood asthma in the country due to emissions and pollution in the area. We have severe issues with ICE facilities. So like, we're a district that actually has a lot of need and needs somebody who is an active voice in Congress. And my opponent actually has one of the lowest attendance rates out of all members of Congress, even Republicans, right? And so I'm running to replace him. I feel very, very confident that we can beat him in June 2022. Yeah. But again, it's going to take those donations. It's going to take volunteers, but he needs to be replaced. And I look forward to replacing him in June 2022.
100%.
So in the chat, they said, Alan said, call him a daddy's boy in a campaign.
That's the strategy.
Yeah, I'm not above a little petty.
All right, let's clap it up. Everybody, let's clap it up for Imani Oakley. Imani Oakley. All right.
Well, I got a quick question, Imani. I sent money through ActBlue. Is it better going through there or just your website? It doesn't matter which one you prefer.
Yeah, so the website link will take you to ActBlue. So either way, you'll end up at ActBlue.
Okay.
All right.
I just set up my recurring monthly donation, so it's live.
Hey, Imani, don't tax my 99% $1 billion, and I got you.
All right. Much love to Imani. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We're gonna
Thank you for having me, as always.
Yeah, no problem. We're gonna let you go right now. And as Imani jump out, Juan, I'm gonna focus on you now. And I'll probably all right, see you later, Imani. And then Juan, I'm probably gonna have to fix the boxes. So that's why
play some music for the outro.
I know, right? I should have played some music. But yeah, Juan, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your campaign, all right?
Hey, it's a pleasure to meet everyone watching. My name is Juan. I'm running for Congress in Florida's 26th Congressional District. Thankfully, I'm actually running against a Republican, so It's not quite as contentious as Imani, so like I don't have the Democratic establishment, at least not yet, bearing down on top of me. But the Republican I'm running against is he actually used to be the mayor of Miami-Dade County, so or the Miami-Dade the county. He actually is one of the biggest Trump acolytes that exists. He basically votes for him over 80% of the time, like votes with Trump and all his policies over 80% of the time. And he's been consistently just awful on everything. The only thing he hasn't been quite awful at is the mask mandates, only because he got COVID while he was mayor and he was in the hospital for a long time. So, once you get it, you instantly become a believer all of a sudden. Everybody's always asking for the vaccine once they get the actual virus. But before that, they're a complete denier. But it's actually been pretty difficult because I'm actually working full time and running my campaign at the same time. So I have no days off. I basically work in the mornings, campaign at night. In the weekends, I'm campaigning entirely. So no days off. Is just constantly just making sure that I have a roof over my head. And on top of that, also making sure that I can, like Imani said, raise enough money to beat my opponent, because unfortunately, that's just the way it is with politics right now. It's most of your time is fundraising. And it's really ridiculous because, like, if you look at it, we have 243 million people who are eligible voters in America. And just providing $200 vouchers for everybody to use for candidates, if you have the stipulation that you're not going to have private funds otherwise, that's like $48 billion to give everybody a voucher to, federally to give to candidates completely free. You don't have to pay any money yourselves. You just hand them the voucher and they redeem that voucher. That's $48 billion, and we have a grassroots power base that we can use to combat any kind of corporate influences. So it's ridiculous that like Seattle has something like that, but it's very small. It's like about $25. It's not a lot of money, but there's a lot of ways we can do it, and it's ridiculous that most of our time is spent fundraising, like Imani says, instead of doing more important things and trying to get out there and getting to know voters.
100%, man. Thanks for joining us on the show. I hope you enjoy your time. Now, I saw a question.
It's a pleasure.
I saw a question from Chris in the chat. PJ Chris said, Juan, are you hooked up with @Blue?
I am actually. I have my Congress, JuanForCongress.com. You can put the number 4 or FOR. It works both ways. And as soon as you come up, like on the website, it's gonna have the donation, and there's also a donation button at the top of the site. So
okay, cool. All right, so let's get on with the show. So quickly, some things before we get to Carlito's rundown. I want to show y'all. See, the music didn't pop up again, thankfully. Lord. All right, so this is a tweet that came out. Team Biden quietly approved at fat subsidy for one of America's top coal suppliers. So Team Biden, he's saying a lot of game about the climate, and he's coming out with some stuff, but we finding out that he's still on the low is supporting dirty fuels. Anybody got anything to say about that real quick?
Oh, blue, no matter who, baby.
All right.
I mean, for all the talk that Trump and the Republicans do about, supporting the coal workers, I guess Biden's like, all right, I guess finally someone should.
I know, right? It's terrible. Go ahead, Juan.
I mean, it's crazy because Biden says that he wants to have zero carbon emissions by 2050, but even that's not good enough. Like, we need zero carbon emissions globally by 2050, not just for the United States. And then here he is undermining his own plan. Like, it's ridiculous, honestly.
And we all heard about the report that came out today that it's so sad. It's so sad because they're saying that it's not even is a report saying, hey, if we do this and this and this, we'll be able to stop the effects of climate change. It's saying, no, the effects of climate change is here. All we can do is make changes to mitigate it and not have as extreme weather or as much frequency extreme weather. But the fact of the matter is climate change is here already.
And the IPCC is very conservative. So they have already very disastrous effects of climate change. And that's the very conservative estimate of what's going to happen. Like 50% of animal life being extinct, 75% of insects That's conservative, very, very conservative estimates. So it can actually be a lot worse by 2100.
Okay. Let me show this video. I brought this up. This is a crazy video. These people are apparently they're on a boat, I believe. Get away. They're trying to get away from the fire. I believe that's what it says. When the fire comes to swallow us. Yeah. I'm going to drive up to Lake. Oh, okay, that's just a joke. But yeah, and then let me show. This is another one. The city of Greenville, California, nearly entirely gone. Here's a video from the Dixie Fire, and it's officially today because it was creeping up the list of the biggest Californian fires, or the biggest fires in America, honestly. And it just reached #1 today. Man, it's kind of loud, right?
Just a bit.
Right there.
Literally hell on earth.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I heard that they've lost, I think, well over 300 homes already at this point because of this fire, and that was this morning. I mean, the number's probably even grown since then.
I can imagine just living, just like being in that situation where you just see towers of flame larger than buildings. It's crazy.
What is
Yo, did that go
Fat Joe cameo.
What is happening?
Yo, Carlito and Bedom, when we get back in the chat later, this is exactly what I'm gonna point to when I make my case. That's all I'm saying right now.
It's not even related.
You just made me look like Fat Joe and then just put my name out.
Yeah, that's what Carlito gets for jumping out the show.
Hey man, blame Comcast for
what's going on today.
So I got that's all right. I gotta fix the words and stuff, but let me keep going.
That means the PJs gotta pay for me to have symmetrical internet and a backup business line.
You need a backup business line for Carlito.
Juan, just so you know, this today is not normal.
Yeah. All right, so let me play. I know, right? You never know what you're gonna expect with political junkies. All right,
Kamala Harris. He would be the one to take.
Let me start it over.
How much of this is the progressives wanting him out of the way ahead of the 2024 race? They don't want him to take any power away from Kamala Harris. He would be the one to take on Kamala Harris in the Democrat primaries, right? I don't know about that. How much of this is the progressive?
So I just wanted to play that. What did you guys get from that video that I'm hoping that you guys get? Did everybody notice?
Who is she referring to?
So, okay, to give you full context, so Cuomo is apparently, he might get impeached. So he might get taken out. So
they're talking about Cuomo running against Kamala?
In 2024. Remember that was the case before all this. Cuomo was their savior.
Yeah. That he was going to run for president. At some point.
But still today, even today?
No. So that's what her point is, that the progressives are trying. So I'll say what the whole point of the clip is. She's trying to say that progressives are trying to get rid of Cuomo, which is all with the sexual harassment and, with the multiple women and stuff, so that ... Kamala Harris could run for president, so that we could save Kamala Harris.
What in the...
Oh, wow.
Like, come
Kamala
on.
Harris is historically the most unpopular vice president since like the 1970s.
Thank you.
Like, she has no chance of winning any
President
presidency.
DeSantis is coming, and winter is coming as well.
Yeah, bro, I live in Florida, and trust me, if DeSantis becomes president, that is like the end of this American experiment. I'm sorry.
Hopefully.
There you go. Get ready for it then.
Go blue, no matter who. This is what happens.
You know what if Trump is so petty, he will sink DeSantis. He'd rather him not win than have somebody else in a Republican Party take his spot.
I think Trump is going to run, and I don't think DeSantis is going to run against him. DeSantis is not stupid enough to end his career by running against Trump. I think Trump is committed to running for president 2024, unless he's like imprisoned or something like extraordinary like that. he's going to run for president. DeSantis is not going to destroy his career by running against him.
Yeah, and he's not going to be in prison because the Democrats want that. That's the Democrats already like play. We can't allow Trump again. This is the most important election of our lifetime. That's what they're going to do. So yeah. Oh, look at that. DeSantis for VP. Maybe Trump is.
That's very possible. That's very possible.
I can see
that. Nah. He won't have that. He won't have that.
He's going to pick.
He doesn't want anybody that might outshine him at any spot.
That's a good point, Carlito. That is a good point. I almost called you John. I gotta fix your name. All right, yo, let's go to Carlito's rundown. Let's do it.
It's not rapid fire. Not rapid fire.
Not today.
Not today.
Not at 8:24.
Hey, we had guests.
Yeah, we had guests.
All right. Let's go to the first story. CNN fires 3 employees for coming to work unvaccinated. At NPR.org with the Associated Press. So CNN chief Jeff Zucker told staff members of the firing in a memo sent Thursday that reminded them that vaccines were mandatory if they report to the office or out in the field where they come into contact with other employees. Let me be clear, he said, we have zero tolerance policy on this. The memo was obtained by the Associated Press after its contents were first tweeted by CNN media reporter Oliver Darcy. CNN offered no details on the firings or where the employees were based. I mean, where's the controversy here, John? I don't know. Get vaccinated, don't come to work.
Get vaccinated, don't come to work. It's very easy as that. Like, if you don't like to be vaccinated, find a new job.
That's what I think.
Or stay home.
Yeah, or stay home. Is, you can't, people need to stop putting other people at risk. It's very simple. Nobody telling you what to do or not to do. You have choices. Get a new job, stay home, or stop being a spreader. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the free market too, is that, if these people, want to be unvaccinated, then go work at somewhere else where that's allowed,
But freedom.
Breitbart.com.
You get
always
freedom.
available.
You get freedom to do what you want, but you also can't do it where you want for what company you want,
Yeah.
So
and I heard it said multiple times, and we said it on the show, I think it was last week, by getting vaccinated, by everybody getting vaccinated, you actually increase freedom because you could go around, not wear a mask, go to public events and crowds, do whatever you want and not get, get infected, because otherwise everybody else on some tippy toes, I mean, I guess you could still do whatever you want, but then you're going to either get other people infected, kill other people, or die yourself.
Yeah, and it's gonna be crazy, and I know this is supposed to be rapid fire and stuff like that, but it never is. I know a lot of companies are starting to mandate it. I think I got an email today about United, but it will be interesting to see, everything that's happening in the sports world, right? There's constantly in baseball and now with football, there's a lot of, players, that don't want to get vaccinated. And, some of them are taking advantage of it because they're getting paid, $35-40 million guaranteed. And is that the team can't release them or not? But it'll be very interesting, how that's going to play out in the sport world too. So, I'm sorry, I go off topic, but I thought that would be.
I would love to see them have require players that don't want to get vaccinated to have some sort of insurance, because if you get COVID and you incapacitate yourself, in theory, you should be in violation of your contract because you did not keep yourself healthy. So I would love to see something like that, and the amounts of those insurances will probably be off the charts. I mean, in the tens of millions.
I don't know how many face palms I did every time I heard about an Olympic athlete that wasn't vaccinated and they had to get sent back. What kind of stupid stuff is that, man?
I mean, they're supposed to be representing their country when they go to the Olympics, and that's what they're representing. Man.
So I mean,
Comcast.
So, not in your country, whatever. Anyways, let's go into something more if it's not negative or positive. What's this? Let's go talk about Facebook. How about that? Facebook blocks research into political ads, falsely blames FTC privacy order by John Bracken for Ars Technica. When Facebook disabled the accounts of New York University researchers who were investigating misinformation and political ads on the platform, the social media giant claimed it did so to comply with a consent decree that it previously agreed to with the Federal Trade Commission. But Facebook's claim that the FTC order forced it to suspend the researches is false. FTC Bureau of Consumer Protection Acting Director Samuel Levine wrote in a letter to Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg on Thursday. The FTC order did require Facebook to create a privacy program. Yeah, like privacy. Anyway, but there was no requirement that would have forced Facebook to shut down the NYU research project. Facebook later admitted to Wired that the researchers violated Facebook's terms by using automated means to collect ads so they could analyze for the misinformation. But publicly, they still blame the FTC. If it wasn't for those lies, I would think that they have the right to enforce their terms. But since they're lying, I think they just want to cover their behinds. I don't know. What do you think, Izzy?
Yeah, absolutely. They even admitted in another part of that article, they say that despite the admission, Facebook blog post still contained a statement that Facebook suspended the researchers to protect people's privacy in line with our privacy program under the FTC order. So I mean, they are straight up lying about this. They've essentially admitted that they lied about it, but they're still just using this Facebook, I'm sorry, this FTC order as their backup. It makes zero sense. You know, it just really goes to absolutely prove that there's nothing that they won't do for a buck, you know, even if it means welcoming misinformation onto their platform or conspiracy theories that endanger our democracy, our public health, whatever. It doesn't matter. As long as they get paid for it, they do not care. They will do anything to make sure that they get that dollar. It does not matter how egregious it is for our safety and our health. And so that's why I just, you know, I think I probably said this a million times before. I implore everyone, if you can, please just get off of Facebook. Even if you can't exit the whole ecosystem, even if you can't get off of WhatsApp and maybe you can't get off of Instagram or whatever, at least just get off of Facebook so you stop being exposed to like these crazy ads that they want to show you just to make you more radicalized, just to make you more stupid, essentially, and get paid for it. Like, please get off of that platform.
Or at least please use ad block. Like use ad block.
Something, anything.
There was a story from long ago from the 2016 election where really was NPR. They interviewed somebody that was running a lot of websites with all this clickbait, the misinformation, the type of ads that you see on Facebook. And the dude, he was a Democratic voter, but you know, he was also capitalist. So, you know, he ran those websites. But the big takeaway that I had was that he just wanted to make money. So he made websites with a whole bunch of clickbait lies. For liberals and conservatives going all the time. The liberals, you know, they start in the comment section, but sooner or later, some find like a Snopes article or debunk it or whatever, and then the thread died. But with conservatives, they just keep talking trash. They just eat it up. So Facebook, they make more money from conservatives because they just believe all that crap.
Absolutely. And you know what's funny is that they say that, you know, they're trying to protect people's privacy in their claims, but really the only people's privacy that they're protecting are not the people. They're protecting the ad companies. That's the only privacy that they're protecting, is the privacy of the ad companies. So it's all complete BS.
That's because the ad companies are their customers.
Exactly.
We're not the customers, we're the product.
Yeah, exactly. When you're not paying any money, it's like they say, if you're not paying any money, you're the product.
Of course. Yep. Go ahead, Carlito. Did Carlito freeze?
I think so.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. All right. Damn.
Sounds like a good time to go to my story.
I know, right? Let me see if I can. You know what? Let's go to the chat. I was thinking about going to the chat for a minute already anyway. Let's talk. I just want to give a shout out to PJ Chris is in the chat. PJ Neat. Let's see. PJ Chris says she doesn't use Facebook or Instagram. Alan said those paying customers, it's different. Don't stop. All right. I can't see the rest, but can you guys see the chat? On my side, I can't go further back.
Yeah, there was I think Chris had a question earlier for Juan. It says, what kind of interaction have you had with other congressional representatives from Florida?
Yeah, actually, I've actually had a really good conversation with Tom Wells, who's running up north. I forgot exactly which district, but it's near Gainesville. And he's actually a very intelligent individual. I have a lot of respect for Tom Wells. Like, it's a really good conversation we had. And also Christine Olivio, I met her in the March for Medicare for All as well. So I've had some really good interactions with other candidates in Florida.
Nice.
Oh yeah. And I think when we're talking about the vaccination, they said they put out the information on the average cost of being hospitalized is $73,300. Stop all that conservative money they're making. And then, everything else was paying customer.
All right, cool.
On this same note of YouTube censoring, when I tried to log into live stream today to chat, it said that we are restricted content. So I had to turn off restricted mode on my YouTube to allow this adult content.
Really?
As we do not, with all the cursing and sexuality and all these things that we do on this show, they have marked us as restricted content.
Really?
So,
wow.
Yes, sir.
I know they do the same.
Take a screenshot.
They do if you can, they do the same thing.
I couldn't even see the live when at first I was logged in trying to see the live. Yeah. And I even went to PJ page, or a Case Study QB page, and it was not showing that we were live. And then finally I saw this. I clicked on the video. It had a big black box that said restricted. What? So I'll send that to you guys offline so you can see it. Maybe we'll highlight it next week.
So if your own daughters wanted to watch you today, they wouldn't be able to.
Nope. And of course, it's a good thing we don't curse because
There's no reason.
Imagine if we did, they would send assassins to our house.
All right, there's one more question for Juan. Are you worried about congressional representatives like Wasserman since she is near your district?
Not necessarily. I mean, she's not running in my district, and she's not gonna be a contender. When it comes to like the actual house, I mean, there's far more to worry about than just Debbie Wasserman shoulder. Like there's many more obstacles than her. I mean, it's unfortunate that she is in Florida and that she is an obstacle to any kind of change statewide. But she's not that much of a threat, so not necessarily.
Okay, cool. And let me show this tweet real quick. This from our fellow. I haven't seen her in a while. I think she's somebody. I forgot her handle now. But anyway, only in America you can't afford to live. And then the cost of this. Let me see if I could click on it real quick. The cost
to live can't afford
$47,000, $915. And then it says can't afford to die. And it's only $9,000. So to live, it costs more money than to die. Then
you can't afford to die either.
Yeah, exactly. Can you bring up the funeral cost one again?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I clicked on the wrong. Let me go to this. Boom.
Okay, so this is different costs around the country. I wasn't sure. I wonder what it's like in other countries. That's what I'm really curious about. And it's really interesting. I mean, look, in Seattle, Washington, it costs almost nothing to be cremated, but then in Washington, D.C., it's like 10 times the price.
Yeah.
To be cremated. So like they're not caskets, no tombstone, just to be cremated, just for your body to become ashes.
You gotta make that money.
Absolutely nuts. All right. And then I want to play this. One of my favorite guys, his name is not Hakeem Jeffries, but Eddie Glaude asked a very good question. I just don't get it twisted. I just want to make sure.
For $15 minimum wage.
Sometimes we gotta worry about you.
Nah, you never gotta worry about me, baby. You never have to worry. All right, here we go.
Jeffries, let me just ask this question. So, is the extreme right those folks who are arguing for $15 minimum wage? Is the extreme left? I mean, is the extreme left of those who are arguing for Medicare for all? Is the extreme left those who are arguing for student loan debt cancellation and the like? People like Reverend Bishop Barber and those folks. Because oftentimes this sort of argument, and I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here, Doc. Often these sorts of arguments aim to discipline a particular side of the party, as if the so-called progressive side of the party has to mute its demands for the corporate wing or the moderate wing. How do you differentiate this position from those who are making concrete arguments about how to move the country forward?
Concrete arguments about how to move the country forward are incredibly important. And in fact, Eddie, as you know, I support the $15 minimum wage and have helped to try to lead that charge both in Washington and in New York. I've sponsored Medicare for All legislation every single term that I have been in Congress, and a variety of other bold progressive ideas. Those are incredibly important. But what I am saying is that the voters have made pretty clear over the last several primaries that they'd like folks who are willing to, at the end of the day, work together with our president to get things done and push back on the rise of the radical right. Again, that's not to say that primaries aren't a good thing. They are a beautiful thing. Primaries are incredibly important. It's a contest of ideas. Let's just make sure that those contests of ideas stay substantive and not personal.
Anybody got any opinions before I jump in?
I mean, for him to say that they made it very clear in primaries that they don't want that, they completely lied about what Nina Turner supported. They were saying that she didn't support Medicare for all. Yes. They were saying that she didn't support $15 minimum wage. They had a lie to defeat Nina Turner, and also use an influx of massive corporate money. And also, I like how the Overton window is so far to right, where he's saying that these things are like the policies he's talking about, Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage, are the extreme left. That's the extreme left. Just wanting basic necessities are the extreme left. That's how insane the Overton window is to the right in this country.
100%.
I've always said the Democrats do to the progressive what the Republican do to them in the general. And they can't sit there. That's why every time in general, when they're crying, like, oh, it's not fair, they're doing this, it's exactly what they do to the left. So I don't buy anything that dude said.
So he said at the end that primaries are a beautiful thing. When we did, I think we did a story a couple episodes ago when he was one of the people who created a PAC to help support not challengers, incumbents, to help support incumbents. So why don't we just keep it neutral and let the ideas, like you said, let the ideas flow, let the people decide, and not tip the scales in one direction or the other with money. But no, like Juan said, they lie. Go ahead, Izzy.
Oh no, I wasn't saying anything, but I did want to say that. I mean, he said he's in support of $15 minimum wage. He votes for Medicare for all every single time it comes up. Yeah, because it's a safe vote that you know is not going to pass anyway. So of course you can put your name on the legislation. And even $15 minimum wage is like barely even a talking point at this point. Like it's not even that's not even a living wage anymore at this point. So okay, you support it maybe going into effect like what? I don't know, 7 years from now, whatever the the legislation says these days. I mean, these are basically centrist talking points.
100%. All right, we're gonna go back to Carlito's rundown. I don't know what happened last time. Comcast was getting at him.
It's Comcast, Damn. Man. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you keep cutting in and out, but we'll work through it.
Will we? Because he's frozen again.
Oh, he's frozen. Oh my gosh!
It's the upload speeds. He was good.
I'll be honest. I got a Comcast, but I'm not getting
the best part is that Carlito have better internet service in the world that he does at home.
Damn. But he's in Juan. You're in Florida. He's in Georgia. So I'm sure.
I have a Comcast gigabit service. They have it in my area, so thankfully I'm fortunate.
I have Comcast too, actually, and I'm fine. So I don't know what's going on. But anyway, let's continue on with the reaction video. So we'll see what happens.
Carlito could never come from my computer.
Extreme left.
Here's another one.
Examples of who and what has been said that concerns you as it pertains to the future potential success of the Democratic Party.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me on. I think the most important point is that the Democratic Party is a big tent. And that big tent includes progressives like myself, moderates and centrists and common sense Democrats, and a few more conservative leaning Democrats. The more we reflect the diversity in every possible way of the American people, the better, because the more likely we are to be successful. And if we're successful, like we have been under the presidency of Joe Biden, then we have an opportunity to govern and get big things done. The fastest growing economy in 40 years, millions of good paying jobs created, helping working families, middle class families, low income families, and everyday Americans. Let's keep our eye on the prize. And that is really my only point.
Okay.
Fastest growing economy in 40 years. Where did you start? Like where was the economy before it started growing? Like it'd be a shame if it wasn't growing quickly at that point.
He said progressive like myself.
I know.
I almost unplugged my internet when I saw that. I almost pulled the carrito and just walked away after I heard him say that.
This is why, like, I think, we got to find a new word, because they just took it like, now they just be like, oh yeah, I'm a progressive, and
I'm gonna get toxic for a second. So this is why we gotta just stop voting for the Democrats, bro. Like that.
We got a Democrat right there. How you gonna say that with a Democrat guy running right there?
I was talking about. I mean, we know our brother Juan is anti-establishment, but it is. I mean, the establishment is using those votes that we give them as evidence that they're winning. You know, and evidence that we want centrist policy. So they're taking Biden's election as a mandate for his policies versus a vote against Trump. They're taking, the recent victories as votes for centrism versus acknowledging that it's because of the establishment combining against, for example, Nina Turner. They're at the last minute ganging up against her to just get across the finish line. It's a rigged system that we're playing in, and the only way that we're ever going to get progressive change is by having a legitimate third party that is a threat, even for 5%, even for 10%, because without that 10%, the Democrats won't ever win another election. So they'll have to give us concessions. And right now our strategy has failed. It failed in 2008, failed in 2012, it failed in 2016, and and it's failing up to this day. And we're not doing anything differently. And you know who's winning? The establishment. And who's losing? The working class that is still with the longest time without a minimum wage increase since the beginning of the minimum wage. And it's just like, nobody cares.
All right, I'm going to pass the mic to Juan. Yes. Go ahead.
The thing is, like, unfortunately, the way things are in this country with the winner take all, first past the post election system, it's mathematically impossible for there to be like a third party that's viable in this country. Like it's not going to happen. Like Ralph Nader was the most successful third party candidate. He only got 2% of the vote, and he wasn't even in all ballots in all 50 states. Like there was no third party candidate that is accepted in all ballots in all 50 states. Like there's a lot of obstacles that prevent a third party candidate to be viable, that it's basically impossible for you to win or even make any kind of substantive movement towards success. Like if you want third party candidates to be viable, the only way is to challenge the establishment in their own house. Because if you walk out of the house, like I always say, if you leave the Democratic Party and you just leave the people who are despots in there, then it's just going to stay bad. It's not going to get any better, and they're going to make sure that no one can challenge them from the outside. Like they create all the rules. They set up all the institutions that prevent third party candidates. If you want viable competition, you have to dismantle the establishment status quo that exists right now. That's just the only way about it.
Yeah, I'm personally for fact. Yeah, as he said, that's fact, of course, and I'm personally for not just the third party. I'm for the third parties, but I'm also for co-opting the Democratic Party as much as you can, because I had slated for, and I don't think we're going to get to it, but for a no-call zone discussion, I was thinking of, should we, Nancy Pelosi has been fighting for the reconciliation infrastructure bill, which is the $3.5 trillion bill. And I'm just wondering, like, is that because, and I think it is because of the progressives who have fought for that bill. So the point I'm trying to make is, was it okay to have her as speaker because we can pull her to the left? And it looks like we might get it passed. We'll see what happens in the end. See, look, John is saying he's giving
why is she fighting for 3.5? Because we need 10. That's the problem, is we need at least 10 to even make a dent in our D infrastructure. So they're willing, it's like when you're in a negotiation and here they go, okay, 3.5. They're like, oh man, you're twisting my arm, 3.5. I guess you can win with that. Meanwhile, they know that they're winning because we need much, much more than that. So they're happy to compromise at that 3.5 and act like they're doing the most progressive things in the world. Well, that's not even a third of what we need to bring our infrastructure up. And that's, again, the problem. I say this as a donor to again, our brother Juan, because I'm a recent donor today, but it's just it's challenging because the two parties we have today were never the two parties that we're not the two parties that the country was founded on. And we have to try, like Hayes said, an inside outside strategy. We're trying the inside strategy, and we're playing a rigged game that Nina Turner could lose. Nina Turner, one of the most popular progressives in the country, in a overwhelming district that should have been in favor of her, could lose because of establishment lies. Shows you there's not a chance. We're playing a game that we're not going to win. And we could get a seat here and a seat there, but then we'll lose another seat. And by governing from the big tent party that really has no morals is going to be just a recipe for continued losses.
But let me just be clear, because it sounds like you're conflicted. Are you for the inside outside or just the third party strategy?
My frustration and my toxicity says the outside strategy, but it's only because, again, you have to come with the furthest crazy policy in order to meet somewhere in the middle. The middle is the inside outside strategy. You have soldiers outside and you have soldiers inside. But it's just, I get frustrated when I hear Hakeem Jeffries talk and I see that tagline, the tagline on the bottom that says wins for the centrists is giving, what is it? Giving a reality check to the left. Like, it's not true. It's why they're co-opting our vote and they're using it against us.
Okay, I'm going to go to Juan and then I'm going to go to John after. So Juan first and then John. Go ahead.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the obstacles that you pointed out for Nina Turner are completely valid. But the thing is, imagine the obstacles you'll have as a third-party candidate would be insurmountable in comparison to Nina Turner. Like, if Nina Turner was within 5 points of the vote, and that district is also, like, you have to understand the idiosyncrasies of that district. It was heavily gerrymandered to require the votes of a very wealthy portion of the population as well in that district. And like, if Nina Turner had those obstacles, a third party candidate can't win. I'm all for like inside outside strategy, but to me, the inside strategy would be fighting in the House, trying to dismantle the status quo of the establishment inside the Democratic Party. And the outside strategy would be using activist movements and people power to fight against their influence in outside of electoral politics in general, using both of those strategies in combination to attack them from both sides. Like, that's the inside outside strategy. Like, but if your outside strategy is forming a third party, which isn't going to get as much traction in the current status quo of our electoral politics, it's not going to make that much of a dent. It's just going to be, in my opinion, I'm sorry to say, wasted effort. Like, we have the effort that they're putting into a third party should be put into like an activist movement of people power.
Let me jump in for John real quick. So
I just make one statement. You go after me, right? Because mine is going to be very simple. Because I think I'm firmly believe that the Tea Party is going to tell us otherwise. I think they're going to be successful in getting a third party and breaking down the Republican Party, and then we're going to be like, well, they did it, and I understand exactly what you're coming from. But like Gabe said, we it's been 10 years and we haven't really. We gotten was 8 people that we don't even know where they stand sometimes.
The Tea Party is an insurgency in the Republican Party. It's not necessarily a third party.
It's gonna break. It's gonna break. They're gonna be successful. Once if they don't get Trump for 2024, you'll see how they go into a third party. And
as I'm saying, that's an argument for like insurgency to break the Democrats in the same way. An insurgent infiltrate the Democrats and do the same thing that the Tea Party did. That's the argument for that.
I mean, that you couldn't have been more right, Juan. Like, that's exactly what they did. They did not come in as a third party, force. They came in within the party. That's exactly what Juan and others are trying to do. So it's a no-brainer.
Gabe, go ahead.
We are looking at history and asking ourselves to rewrite history. So in 2016, we had the biggest progressive surge for a democratic socialist, which would have been unheard of previously, to back him. We lost the primary because of many outside factors. And then what we did was we gave our votes, not me, I didn't vote for her. We gave our votes most of the Democrats gave their votes to Hillary Clinton, who lost. If at that time we took that movement and we gave a third party, whether it was the Greens or Bernie Sanders had the gall to run independent and actually hold the Democrats' feet to the fire, they would have had to give him concessions at that time. Or we would have ended up with Trump at that time, but maybe we would have had this beginning of a third party again years ago. So now that we're not starting from scratch now, we would have taken that effort. Instead, we try to play within the system again. We took this most popular senator again, and we watched him become a shell of himself, where today he for every one good thing he does 10 good things backing the establishment, and we've lost that fire within the progressive movement. The Senate Nina Turner losing is again splashing on our fire. Bernie Sanders losing and giving up without getting any concessions, a splash on the fire. Whereas we would have started 4 years ago, we would have had at least a beginning, whether it's 1%, 2%, start with something. But instead now we're like Juan said, we're starting from zero because we didn't take advantage of the opportunities previously, and we don't have a progressive champion right now. We need to find one and start that process. But it's not going to be a process that's in 4 years or 5 years or 10 years, but it's something that needs to start, because if we keep going with a climate plan for 2050, this is going to be all for moot, because the world's going to be on fire by then if it's already on fire now. So we have to start, because not starting anything and just letting the Democrats do what they do and the Republicans do what they do is going to again lead to the end of humanity, as we're watching with this climate change.
We're already doing, you already know. But the other thing I will say that we talked about in Discord a little bit, and I don't know if we talked about it on the show last week, but I personally believe that Nina Turner's race was supposed to be a slam dunk. She had the hugest lead, ever. She's from there. She was already, in the state government, and she couldn't win. And I firmly do believe that you have to put onus on the voters. Granted, there was a huge influx of money that came in out of nowhere. The establishment did every single little thing they could to try to prevent her from being elected. But at the end of the day, she was a known candidate. She wasn't even an AOC. You know what I mean? Like, AOC came out of nowhere and got elected. She wasn't even that. Everybody knew her in Ohio. Everybody knew her across the country. And even Nina couldn't get elected. And you look at the same thing that happened in New York, like with our mayoral election. We had, I don't know what, 12 different candidates. And we elected the most Republican one out of all of them in New York City.
Each progressive in that race, one by one, just like fell out because of a different thing, like a different scandal or something that happened.
I agree. But
that was a disaster on our part.
But
and to be fair.
I hear you, Juan. But you also have to understand, like, we always, I know you're new to the show, but we always talk about ranked choice voting and how much of a savior that's going to be. We always talk about New York City and how progressive of a city we are. I'm from New York City, just so you know. And look at what we did. We took ranked choice voting in one of the most progressive cities in the country, and we elected a Republican. So, like, at the end of the day, like, we have to take onus as vote. Like, we're just not doing our job as voters. We're not informed enough. We're not motivated enough. And I think that's part of the blame. We have to take that blame.
Absolutely, because people, what they do is they just listen to CNN and Fox and all those corporate media feed them. I think I shared the link, right? What was it? That poll that talked about even where everything's going on. They did it this week, and like, who would you vote for 2024 or like 2022 governor race or something like that? I couldn't think of it. And 36% or 26% had Como still with everything happened. So like, I'm like, who are these people serving? Like, who are these people really like going out there that they really don't even care what's happening, and they will like vote for that guy again?
And like, honestly, like, I do agree that the voters aren't as reliable as they should be, especially like, for example, when Bernie Sanders is running, he has so much support for young voters in the polls. But if you actually look at turnout, they almost never showed up. And I agree that we have to find we do have to have more responsibility as voters, but at the same time, it's not like they make it easy. Like, they purposely make it difficult. So I don't want to at the same time blame the victims of the object of their disenfranchisement. Like, they're purposely designing a system that makes it difficult for those types of people to vote, putting like the voting times on weekdays where you have to work, making it very short time frames in the middle of the day, making sure that you can't it's not a national holiday, so like, if you call out for work, you're not getting paid.
I completely agree with you, but the thing is, when are we ever going to be able to change those things? Like, I know you're trying hard and you want to come from within the system, and I fully support you. I'm going to donate today. Like, I want you in there, and I want you to be able to change those things. But to Gabe's point, even if we can, how long is it going to take? You know what I mean? So like you're right. They are stacking all the cards against us, but we still have to be better than that. Like that's, I mean, that's basically the
That's
life
just the
of
reality of it is, unfortunately.
we're all people of color on here. Like we're all like minorities in some way, shape, or form. Right? Like we know that struggle, right? Like our struggle is to just fight against all the oppression that we have to deal with every single day. And this is really no different. Even when it comes to just something as simple as voting, it's really no different.
All right.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
with
that's just unfortunately the reality of it. Like we have
the
to,
last 2
we have
minutes
to
left.
fight extra hard.
Yeah, with the last 2 minutes left in the show, let's go to the chat room. And Carlito, you got any last thing you want to say before? What's going on?
Locked, so with Dipset.
All right, so
we lost Gabe.
I know, right? All right. I think PJ Chris had one more question for Juan, so I want to get that in before we end the show and let him go. Said Juan, are you worried about state legislators giving centralized power to governors like DeSantis and Abbott, what they have right now?
Yeah, I mean that's honestly they're gonna be the biggest obstacle when it comes to implementing policies for the state necessarily, is that even if all the progressive candidates that are running in Florida win, the entire state legislative run by Republicans, and the governor seat has been run by Republicans, and this has been the case in Florida for decades. Like there's a difference between the federal elections in Florida. The federal elections are very volatile in Florida when it comes to president or congressional, but state elections have always strongly been on the Republican side. And that's going to be the biggest obstacle. But honestly, the only way to fight that at that point is with activism on the ground, people power. You have to force them to change. Like you have to demonstrate. You have to make their life uncomfortable. Unfortunately, that's just how it's going to be.
100%. All right, so give some love to the chat. Holly Horn was in the building first. Then PJ Chris, we want to give a shout out to PJ Neat. And anybody else in the chat, much love to y'all. Unfortunately, I guess YouTube is censoring us somehow. So anyway, I'm going to give some love to everybody. John, Juan, Gabe. Go ahead, Carlito.
The next story we were planning on talk about was about Apple. So
maybe that's what happened.
Had a whole thing planned and everything.
Yeah.
Overtime, 5 minutes.
You want to do it, Carlito?
There's 3 stories. We can make it go quick.
And Juan gave us the okay, so I want to make sure our guest is good. So he said he's good. All right.
I'll give like the quick version of everything.
Okay, go ahead, Carlito.
All right, so the next one was about Apple. I'll read the title and then a little quick thing. It was Apple's plan to think different about encryption opens a backdoor to your private life by India McKinney and Erica Porney at EFF.org. So basically, they're going to start scanning your pictures to look for child porn, and then they're going to snitch on you if you're a kid and they see any sexual explicit lyrics and tell your parents about it.
Damn.
So Apple has been, I'm the resident Apple fanboy in the group. They've been a leader on encryption, but what I want to say is they are wrong. I've been waiting for that all show. I've been waiting.
Look at that. He was waiting the whole show.
Yes.
They are wrong.
I have never thought I would hear this. Oh my God.
Can't do that. The best backdoor is no backdoor, is just have 4 walls all around and a roof, because once you put a backdoor, it could be used for anything. They're trying to do scanning of pictures, scanning of messages, pop-ups that if kids send explicit messages to each other, that it's going to say to your parents. And in theory, it's a nice thought in theory, but it's it's a slippery slope. Once you open up the what do you call it? Once you open up the door, and it's gonna be the most attacked backdoor in the history of backdoors. Even right now, Apple is one of the most attacked systems because they want to find those little 0-day exploits and stuff like that where they can get in and decrypt. But up till now, Apple has been able to say to like the FBI and things like that, we can't decrypt the phone because we don't have the key. We literally don't have the key. And until now, they've been able to do that, but unfortunately, they have crapped the bed. So
I will give you, Gabe. I'll give you one because you crapped on Apple today. I will give Apple a little bit of credit in here, and they could have gone they could have gone like, let's say 50% of where they did. If you want to do the monitoring of the kids' phones and alert parents if there's something on there that shouldn't be, and you're doing it all on the phone locally, which is what they said that they're doing. They said that they're doing all the checks locally on the phone, and they're not sending that data, to the house. Okay, fine. But then they started talking about, okay, now we're going to alert authorities on that.
Oh.
That's the part where it's just like, why did you have to go to that level? Why couldn't you just keep it all locally on the phone with your little AI on the phone and alert the parents if you really feel you need to protect the kids? Okay, fine. But you didn't have to take it to that next level step and then start alerting authorities on that.
Let me ask
again. The question is,
I gotta poop on Apple real quick though, because the like I give them credit for the iMessage the being encrypted end to end, but the part about the keys, that's 100% false. Because, and we, like some of us here, we fans of Signal because you have, for those that are not technically savvy, you encrypt something, you need a key to decrypt it on the other end. With Signal, it's on your phone. Nobody else has it, not even the company. With Apple, everything is encrypted by Apple. So they have either multiple keys or a master key. And they have used it before in the FBI. They have said no multiple times. They have used it before the FBI. But the fact is, they do have a key for everybody's messages. Period. And something that
you got to bring an article to back that up. I'm open to hearing that, but I haven't seen that myself. I've seen the stories where they block, but I'm open if it's there.
Yeah. Well, at least at least the fact about the keys is uncontroversial.
So let me ask
and
you a quick
another
question.
thing that I learned about them is that they sell their phones without FaceTime in Saudi Arabia to basically let whatever the local laws govern. So you can imagine them bending the rules for whoever if they start scanning for, well, this is kind of gay picture. Let's get this homophobic people that, things like that. Oh, you're making a flyer for a protest. We scan, so slippery slope.
Oh, those look like drugs in your photo roll. Oh, let's alert authorities. Oh, those look like, anything. It's like you said, slippery slope, Carlito. I mean, that opens the door to anything going forward.
And like you said, you can't invent a system that only looks at one type of picture. Like they only set those parameters now, but that system that exists, that they implemented, the infrastructure can be used for whatever they want at any time. They don't even have to tell you. You don't even have to know. Like it can happen anytime without you even knowing. And look, I have a bunch of Apple products. Like I have an iPhone, I'm wearing AirPods, I have an Apple Watch. Like it's not I like Apple. It's not a company. I don't like Apple as a company. It's just for me, I feel like at the moment they have the best products. But like it's like Wilhelm von Humboldt says, you admire what they do, but you despise what they are. You know what I mean? Like I admire their products, but I don't like them as a company. I don't like their practices. And this is one of the reasons why.
All right, them or Google. So
yeah, all I know is
your
that
overlord.
Today, all I know is today I'm playing the lotto. Gabe says Apple's wrong, and Easy just gave Apple a little bit of credit.
Oh, I know, right?
Okay.
All right,
okay,
guys.
So let me combine the next two stories in one.
We gotta run, man. I know. I think I saw the chat that our man Gabe gotta run. So let's. I don't know if we could save that for next week, real quick, or something. But or let's look. Gabe, you decide.
You go ahead. Go ahead. Run it.
Go ahead.
All right. So the next two stories are combining. One is Senate infrastructure bill will invest $500 million in smart city surveillance technology from the NSA. So in the infrastructure bill, they want to save cities. They want sensors everywhere for detecting droughts or whatever. Also in certain communities, they want to put sensor in congested areas so they could help with traffic, bike lanes, whatever. But you can imagine where that goes. One of the things they have is this thing called ShotSpotter. And the next story was about that. And from Motherboard and Vice, that basically police are telling ShotSpotter to alter evidence from gunshot detecting AI. So after the fact, they have gone and tell, there's one story that they mentioned. So the ShotSpotter, they arrested this guy. The ShotSpotter detected something that they classified as fireworks. The cops then came back, or analysts came back after the fact and changed it manually to say it was gunshots. Then after they arrested somebody, a mile away from those gunshots, the cops asked them and they modified again the location of where they heard those gunshots.
What? Wow.
So the AI recognized one thing and then they manually edited it. And the only reason people find out is because, there's records from the manual edits. at first you got to get those records, and in the future they might just not put them in there.
Exactly.
And a bunch of cases has to be thrown out. Some has to be just questioned altogether. And sometimes, like in Rochester, New York, they said that they basically they lost or deleted the audio clip from ShotSpotter. So that's the kind of technology that could come about because of this sneaky things that they stuck in the infrastructure bill.
100%. All right. Thank you for giving us that soup. That was the rapid fire right there at the end of the show. So thank you everybody for coming on the show. John, Carlito, Gabe, Juan, Izzy, and I know this is not going to be the last time with our man Juan. Please go out there, support our guy. Give your website again, Juan for Congress with the number 4.com.
Congress.com, number 4, FOR, works both ways.
Actually. Yeah, Juan is currently doing the People's Gauntlet. He did 3 already, and you got 2 more left before he becomes a People's Contender. On his way to become a people's champion. Our man Juan, thank you so much for coming on the show. And
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And let's go to the end. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. And thank you to also our Patreon members, Pedro Hernandez and Nancy Dancher. We turn on the music. We got some Pedro.
I can subscribe and give to the Patreon so we can get Case a new computer.
And go to the score so I could talk to you when Comcast shut me down.
And Carlito, a new internet service.
I've been trying, man. But competition, no competition.